Against the backdrop of a raging COVID epidemic and a quite visceral Black Lives Matter movement, Abroad While Black was born. Our goal was to highlight Black perspectives from all over the world. It was our way of proving there are other ways to live, other places to be successful, and different cultures that embrace our Blackness. In 2020, the Abroad While Black team created dozens of responsive hot takes and thoughtful interviews covering topics ranging from current events, business opportunities, dating, and life-changing moments. In 2021, our co-hosts Cordy and Sean aim to share more success stories, more productive introspection, and most importantly, how to relocate to a place that truly values what you offer the world. Abroad While Black is more than a show. This is a social experiment hell-bent on discovering new ways to secure the bag and live our best lives. Join the Abroad While Black squad. As well. So let's go ahead and just do the introductions right quick. And then whoever wants to go first, go ahead. But just name,
let me see if I can go first. So because I'm on the road and I don't want that, I have good reception now. So before it starts to go. So hi everyone again. Thanks for Sean for bringing this amazing. I know I've heard about Cordy, and then I'm not sure if I've heard about I think I'm getting the name wrong, but yeah, pardon me. I think Andeli. Is that correct?
Andele.
All right, Andele.
Andele.
So so it's nice to meet you. And my name is Wumi Ogunde. I'm in Nigeria. I've been, friends of Sean for a minute now, and he's been talking about, him having amazing women doing things within the space, and it was great to bring everybody together. So I work in the environment, recycling, sustainability space. I have a background in manufacturing engineering, and that was how I started to sort of go into recycling, because when I moved back to Nigeria, I was working with a plastic manufacturing and recycling company. So I did a lot of work in that, and it also a lot of research on food packaging, recycling, and things like that. And that was sort of how I got into the whole waste management stuff in Nigeria, and even across the world. And that's why I have that. And then I have a lot of things that I do. I also organize a pollution conference, which is a conference I started about 2 years ago, which is to bring all stakeholders to sort of, drive in this conversation around pollution. We've talked about, where we looked at a global problem from a local perspective. That was one of our topics. Last year, we talked about flooding. This year, we're looking about how we can talk about technology to be integrated into waste management, and the world is also going into technology space. So looking at practical things that are happening and how we can work within the conference to sort of drive the message that we're driving. And then very recently, and I don't know if I shared with Sean yet, so just about a month and a half ago, an organization appointed me as their COO, which is a technology company. So they develop like social impact projects. And the main one they develop now is on waste management, to sort of help to drive waste management in Lagos State and in Nigeria in general. So which is one of the reasons I said I was at the landfill as well, having meetings with the Waste Pickers Association, and sort of bringing all the important stakeholders into the business of waste management, seeing how we can use technology to sort of innovate and transform the space. So that's what I do for now.
Nice.
Thank you for listening. Nice. I feel like that was a lot.
Thank you. Okay, who do we have up next? Hopefully my internet does not embarrass me again. Yes.
I can go. My name is Cordy Aziz. I'm the founder and executive director of Environment 360 and Evolve Recycling. Environment 360 is an NGO registered in Ghana, which specializes in training and capacity development for waste pickers, mainly community women waste pickers. Evolve Recycling is our sister company, which actually then supports and facilitates the sale of those recyclables on the local and international market. Our organization is actually the founder of community recycling in Ghana, and we actually are the pioneer in working with informal sector. Through the past 6 years, we worked with more than 500 waste pickers. More than 90% have been women. We've established the Pickett Sorting Center in Tema, Newtown, which is the first waste picker-led sorting center in West Africa. This was through funding of the Danone Ecosystem Foundation. We've also been working with GIZ, the federal state of North Rhine-Westphalia, for the past 3 years, testing different business models and economic incentives for the informal sector to help strengthen the value chain and better understand what incentives work best. Most recently, I'm the founder of the Circular Innovation Hub, and the Circular Innovation Hub seeks to strengthen local value chains and raise the income of our women waste pickers by allowing them to change a fraction of their plastic into a feasible second life project. So for this particular project, we brought in a modular recycling technology from Europe. The women will be using recycled plastics, mainly HDPE and PP, to actually develop products. One of the challenges, I think, with recycled products worldwide is always finding an end market. So what we're doing with the Circular Innovation Hub is we actually partner with local companies and we build prototypes for them to build into their value chain. So our first organization that we're working with is Bamboo Bikes. And our first 8 graduates are actually designing a prototype handlebar for Bamboo Bikes. Once they design the handlebar for Bamboo Bikes, they'll actually graduate from the program.
Okay, let's go. We're ready. we caught all, so we're good to go.
Okay, I don't know if the network is holding on my side, but okay. So my name's Anele Makwaza. I'm the founder of Igugu Global. I'm absolutely thrilled to be on Abroad While Black today. It's finally my turn. Igugu is a Zulu word that means treasure, and we are Africa's green deal room. And what that means is we bridge the gap between green deal data and transaction in emerging markets with the superordinate goal of bridging the $1.5 trillion gap in sustainable infrastructure across the continent. So really excited here to be joining ladies working in the waste management sector, certainly critical from catalyzing a low carbon and more sustainable world, and excited for today's conversation. In terms of what we do in our space, bridging the gap between Green Deal data and transaction, or trying to bridge this gap in $1.5 trillion in sustainable infrastructure, we've basically mapped sustainable transition paths and sustainable finance directories. And we believe that in really making it simple for people to connect and own their data, we can unlock a tremendous amount of capital to solve the continent's problem.
Amazing, amazing. So I'm really happy to, and just hearing you describe what it is that you do, it just makes me feel even more so that this is a very powerful group of ladies here, and there's so much synergy in between what we're all working on, especially with you being the person trying to figure out the money part. I think a major issue where people kind of don't care, I think they don't see the value in the waste management space. They don't see the value in the green economy in a way that's relevant or that they want to participate in, as in seeing it as an opportunity that can be easily monetized. So it's amazing to have everybody here having this conversation on Abroad While Black. So
I actually just want to add to that. I don't think that people don't see the opportunity in waste management.
I was also going to
I think that everybody knows. I think everybody knows this is the future and where it's going. I think the issue is scaling, and I think it becomes an issue with scaling because it is still such an informal sector. And like Wumi was saying, from the outside, it looks really chaotic and it looks like no one knows what's going on. But really, when you delve into it, I mean, these individuals are very knowledgeable and they know what's going on. And I think what you have is sort of the conflict between those who have been doing this forever and really know how to aggregate and get the numbers, and those that are maybe big companies coming in from Europe and the US that understand the opportunity, that know they need to work with the informal sector, but they haven't found the right business model to work with the informal sector. And I think that this is why these dialogues are very powerful, because it really gives the opportunity to start looking at how do we build business models that are scalable so that someone like Anele can come in and actually be able to finance, can actually sort of put that together, because now the data is not there. Most of the time, plastic recycling isn't really overly financially sustainable at this particular point. So there are still a lot of challenges internally, I think, that we're still working out as a continent. But when I look at the number of people that have entered, once again, I brought community recycling to Ghana in 2015. At that point in time, I was literally the only person that was collecting PET.
And understand the ecosystems. So that's why there's the external perception. It's because people haven't really truly recognized the convergence of crisis and recognize that it's an intersectional community approach that's going to like map us back to the global capital flows.
Yeah, and I agree with both of you 100%. In fact, 125,000%. I don't know how else to sort of describe that. Everything that everyone said is so apt. Even just looking at, obviously, case studies in Nigeria, the number of people that have called me on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, just saying, oh, Wumi, I want to come into the recycling space. How do I do it? What do I do? I see opportunities. Sorry about the noise, guys. I see this opportunity. Like, I'm literally having conversation with people. I'm like, look, I actually charge for this, right? I can't keep giving you guys all those free nuggets or this on where to come in every second. Like, but the point is, people see it, they recognize it. And I think it was Cody that said that, look, the local guys that are already on ground doing it a certain way, and then of course the international guys coming in to sort of like, oh, we see the opportunity and sort of want to change everything 100%. So again, just coming out from the meeting that I just came out from, and obviously they were talking about impacting about maybe almost 7,000 to 10,000 informal workers who exist. And the conversation was, so there was one of the funders who was there, was like, oh, they must be ready to close down the landfill. Are they ready to move? And so, but then the other stakeholders said to them, you can't do it like that. Yes, you're bringing in the funding, or you're bringing in, the technology or whatever you're bringing in, or the money or the funding has to evolve. You can't just come in and say, oh, the guys that have been working here for 36 years of their life, you want to just throw them out of there. That's what they've always known. But if you have a better way, give them a structure. And like Cody said, give them a time, give them timelines to see that this thing can work, this thing will work, and sort of let's pilot different schemes. Pilot this scheme, pilot that scheme, and that way they're able to see, oh, it's working this way, it's not working that way. But the opportunity there is huge. And that's one of the things that, the technology that we've introduced now, which is called PACAM, PAKAM. So it's focused on collection from household directly. So in order to reduce what goes into the landfill as much as possible, and engaging all these informal sectors to actually collect directly, brand them, give them cats, give them, tools, ICT tools that they require to sort of go to door-to-door collection to sort of support them. They will be onboarded into the system, so you have their picture, you have everything they need to do. And again, people have seen that, oh, that's an interesting one. That's a scalable business. One of the problems is scale. And recognizing that now, people are looking to fund us for that because they've seen a way to scale that sort of business of collection. So that's another way of, coming in as I look. People are thinking innovation is coming, and I think it was Anelli that said, Anela that said something about data information. So again, one of the things, so we've also approached the government and said, look, with this sort of collection, if you're supporting this, we will be able to get real-time data for you, or even just so that you can even plan about waste management even within the state. So they have got into this technology now, and they're like, look, all the informal sectors and even the private partner collectors who are under the scheme with the Lagos State Waste Management Authority are now expected to come under this platform so that they can also track real time. They can also see the numbers of collection daily, monthly, and track it. And that way they can plan effectively for the states. So there's a lot of innovation and ideas now coming up. We just need to plug into it. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting. And I like Lagos, everything always moves from like zero to like innovation. And that's why I think it's one of the most exciting places in the world to design and experiment with products and solutions.
Not so sure they work well, particularly on the continent with implementation. And I think that sometimes it can even be a distraction due to the high level of bureaucracy. I strongly believe that innovation should really be led by the public sector in collaboration with community stakeholders, CSOs, and other private companies that are on the ground, as well as informal sector worker. We do work closely with municipal assemblies, but that's just because under Ghana legislation, municipal assemblies actually own the waste. So we also have relationships with national government when it comes to Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology, and Innovation. Local government and rural development, Ministry of Sanitation and Water, and we really value those relationships. But we know that when it comes to actually executing change, that change is actually going to come on a local level. So we do consider our municipal assemblies as great allies and champions of the work that we do. I love innovation. I love digitization. I'm so for it. But I think that we also have to sometimes be aware that sometimes we might be moving this sector a little bit quicker than it's willing to go. I know, just for an example, we actually have partnered with a Norwegian company, Empower, that we use to actually track our plastic inventory real time through our waste pickers and at our collections sites. There are real challenges with waste pickers using this type of technology. It does take a lot of dollars that are going to go into training. It's going to take a lot of money to actually facilitate the investment to provide them that technology as well, so that they can regularly use it. You'll find that some, from our experience of our waste pickers, some absolutely have smartphones. However, they might be China phones. They may not be equipped to be able to do everything that the app wants it to do. They may not be willing to buy the data every day needed to actually input the information into the application. You get some that are really trendy and they don't mind doing it. Some people actually just look at it as a bother, like it's one extra thing that I have to do to input and it slows my work down. So we've had to really look at how do we actually implement technology with our waste pickers and how does that actually work. I do think that there is opportunity for it, but I think we need to be sometimes a little bit more creative about how we do it and really figure out, is it the appropriate time for technology and waste pickers? Or is it more of a time for capacity building? Because my personal concern is that we've been working with waste pickers is their business skills and acumen. And it's the fact that they don't really understand how working in a larger collective takes them to the next level. And it's really interesting because I don't know if it's the same in Nigeria but what we've discovered here in Ghana is nobody wants to work with anyone. So it's like, this is my business. This is what I'm doing. I want to work independently. And this is very different from India. This is very different from South America, where you have these amazing stories of these cooperatives coming together and doing things. I'm not sure that this exists on the African continent right now. Everybody wants to be the boss. And I think that we see this not only in the informal sector, but I think we see this even with our youth right now, right? Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Nobody wants to go work for anyone. And I think that this is a challenge that we really have to figure out, how do we overcome? I think that we really have to figure out, how do we empower them to actually create these businesses where they don't end up selling out for a little bit of money, or they don't end up basically working for someone and still ending up with a fraction. Because something else we know about these international partners is that they're never going to give the money out as they would for themselves. So they might be selling plastic in Europe for about €1, 50 or 50 cents or whatever. But if you, which is probably in Ghana, this is like 9 cedi. But if you ask them to, raise the price of plastic to 2 or 3 cedi, they'll tell you it's impossible. But really, when you look at it, they actually don't have that many on-ground costs in the country that they're working in. And a lot of times it's a tax write-off for them as well. So I think that we also have to look at, how do we make them more savvy so that they can negotiate, they can work with government independently. And it's not necessarily somebody taking their hand, because something else we've realized with our waste pickers is that sometimes we end up as a crutch as Environment 360, which is why we have Evolve Recycling, because we want them to evolve into having businesses. So we feel the transition of them working with Environment 360 to working with our private company Evolve, which operates like a standard business.
You simply can't have charitable solutions for systemic issues, right? Sort of like, oh, this is just, you know, a little app to help the waste picker, when it doesn't actually take them from, you know, what is actually the superordinate goal? The superordinate goal isn't to measure pieces of plastic picked up, you know, it's really to kind of have an aggregate view of the waste product, but then also transition people's lives and make us a real impact there. And that's why I think the learning and evolution design in your product and business model is something that like really responds to it, and in a way that's business savvy and business minded, as opposed to
to be at least 2 years plus in the business to receive our training. We don't pay people to come to training anymore. If you don't see it as being a benefit to you and you don't see it being interesting, I mean, that's fine. But what we've done is that certain things aren't available. I mean, if you don't come to training, if you don't complete the amount of certifications that you needed, you don't have access to certain things. But we also don't pressure you. So if we tell you 11 o'clock and you show up at 12:30 and we've let you know beforehand that, hey, if you arrive after 12, the day doesn't count, then I mean, we stick to our rules. Even this Circular Innovation Hub, our goal was actually to train 10 women. And, you know, one of the things we had about them is that, you know, you can't have absences from the day, because really it's a 5-week program. So basically, if you miss a week, it's going to essentially affect the entire flow of everything. If you're late past a certain time, we'll consider it an absence, and basically one absence, we drop you from the program. And we started off with 10, and now we actually have just 8 women waste pickers that will complete the program. Yeah, it would have been great to have 10, but I'd much rather know that we have 8 dedicated individuals, because the road they're going on is not an easy road. So mind you, because now since they're coming to graduate, yes, you're submitting your prototype to Bamboo Bikes to be tested, but really the next 6 months is really, how do we get your collection numbers where they need to be? Because if you don't have the right amount of collection, owning a recycling machine isn't going to benefit you, because you don't have the raw materials to feed into it, right? So the next 6 months will be really intensive for them, because it's, how do you get this material? How do you make sure it's a certain quality, so that if you're here running your thing every day, you're fine. And then once again, then there's a whole other gear of where you actually have to come out, work with the machines, service the machines, figure out how to do it, build your team, start building your team, who's your backup, who's your mechanical person. So we don't want individuals that halfway through, they're like, oh, my mother is sick today, I can't come for 2 weeks. Or, oh, I have a funeral, I'm not going to be around for, you know, the
I've traveled,
like, individuals, yeah, right? These aren't the individuals. We're really looking for those individuals that have a personal desire to move from where they are to another place. And we've learned, I mean, our drop-off rate has definitely exceeded. I mean, since we don't pay for trainings anymore, sometimes we used to have trainings, the room used to be full. Now we only have 15. But for me, I'm more interested in how can we get those 15 to graduate? How can we get them the skills that they need? And what we've learned, though, is that these individuals, they are more willing to work together, and they seem to have a little bit more business acumen, and they seem to be willing to do collaborative work that it takes to move together, versus having 50 people in a room and you have 5 contributors and 45 people that are there for the food and the money.
Totally resonates.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, like just listening to everyone, and just, you know, I think I just wanted to speak to what Cody had talked about earlier in terms of collaboration in Nigeria. And I think also maybe Sean can maybe do a bit of kind of test to that. I think that here we're generally, I think we like to collaborate. And I think I would say that. So one of the things that for me, again, it could also be an individual thing. I enjoy collaboration because I always believe that you can't do it all, especially within the waste management sector or the recycling sector in itself. It's one space that you can't sit down and say, I'm owning this space. Because one thing that you need to understand, because I remember when I used to go for like pitches and, you know, pitching my business and talking, and then they asked me, I don't know, can you hear me?
Can absolutely hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So I used to talk about and then they was like, what's your USP? What's your unique? And I said to them, I was like, look, within this space, I don't have. And the reason I don't have is I need people to collaborate with. I'm not looking for competitors, I'm looking for collaborators, because I can't do it alone. If you're calling me to come and pick up somewhere in a distance, honestly, I can't get there. I've had to refer so many businesses to places that I can't reach. I can't do it alone. I'm a collaborator. And if you can't take that and you believe that is not a good enough selling point, then too bad. Because I know what I see, that's always my
calling it.
Yeah, I want everything on the value chain and waste. Whereas I noticed our male counterparts are really big. They want to move from collector to industrialist, and they want to be the only ones on the scene. And I think that this is the difference between how women run businesses and how men run businesses. And I think even when you look at the purpose of each one of our organizations and what we're doing, it's probably very different from a male-oriented perspective or point of view, where once again, their whole thing is, I'm going to be the collection king. I'm going to have all the trucks. I'm going to be the processor. I'm going to be the recycler. I'm going to be the distributor. I think it's very, very different. And I think that this is also one of the greatest things about getting more women and empowering more women to actually be in this space is that we do want to open it up to more people. We do want to empower people at the very bottom of the chain to really move up the chain and be their own bosses. It's not necessarily about us having 3,000 employees and us sitting someplace on a private jet, right?
I certainly agree. I know I'm seeing messages for about timing. I'm happy to do a reschedule. We can continue this conversation. I feel like we have so much to talk about, like so much that we need to start from the beginning and then go for hours on
I
end.
agree. I feel like we need to do like weekly calls or something.
I think so.
So let me do this. We're gonna align. I'm gonna have Pamela organize and let's set up another time to meet. But I'm really excited. I'm so glad that everybody was able to join and get the conversation started. I secretly knew that once I got you guys on, that I thought I was going to be interviewing you, but obviously I'm just here, just listening. But I knew that once the conversation got started, it would. So I'm so proud of you women. Just
the number one. As waste becomes the number one opportunity in Africa, I think that this is a space that diaspora and indigenous Africans can completely own when they come together. You'll notice that there's a gentleman that actually played NFL from Sierra Leone. He recently bought in some organic waste transformers to Sierra Leone that do electricity as well. I think that, you know, working together, the opportunities are really endless. And the thing is, there's always a guaranteed job in waste. People are going to create trash every day. So it's 100% guaranteed, recession-proof, whatever goes on.
I know, inflation-proof, whatever it is, we're in there. People keep eating, people keep drinking, business keeps rolling.
Awesome.
I completely agree.
So I know y'all keep saying we have time constraints, but y'all keep talking. I love it. It's hard to tear ourselves.
It's true. I'm gonna hop off though. But Wumi, I'm gonna email you and Anele so we can also have a side conversation before this next conversation, because I just think that there's so much we can learn from each other and once again have synergy on as well. And once again, I just love interacting with other women that are involved with waste, because there really aren't a lot of us. You see a lot of people who maybe are married and their wife acts as like the head when she needs to, but ultimately it's a male-owned company. So I definitely want to touch bases with you and Anele
Yes, please.
a little bit more on
Yes,
this
please. I'll
topic.
be looking forward to your email. I'll look out for it. I'm really happy to have this conversation. And I know that Sean has mentioned your name a couple of times, and I was like, okay, let's connect. And I'm like, I see why now. So I'm very excited for us to talk, share ideas, see what you're doing out there in Ghana, talk about what's going on here. So much to learn. And you talked about Empower. Funny thing, I also know them, so there'll be so much to talk about, in terms of seeing how we can all work together, collaborate, synergy, whatever. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I'll send you guys an email, Sean. I guess we'll wait on Pam to send us an update. Okay,
all right.
cool.
Okay,
Sean,
sounds
thank
perfect.
you.
All right. Yeah, let us know. We'll share
Thank you,
it via
Sean.
the E360 channels.
Everybody
It's been
send me your
amazing. Thank you
logos.
for connecting us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, bye everybody. I'll send a follow-up email with requests.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you.